Morning, Force followers. How are you today? Happy Thursday. I am so excited to be here with you today. I can't believe it's already Thursday. This week has flown by. But I totally enjoy being here with you every Thursday. I think this is probably the highlight of my week. And so I want to say thank you for joining me today. If you are here live, please give me a thumbs up. The big blue thumbs up. Just click it. And if you're watching this on the replay, please type in the comments below, #replay. I want to make sure, like I think I've stated this in the past, but I want to make sure that everybody is getting the content that I'm putting out there. So if you're watching this later, I really want to know that you're watching it. So if you could please heart it, or thumbs up, or write in the comments a question you might have, something to let me know that you've watched the video. I last week got a lot of emails after the live that said, hey, I just watched your live, I have a question regarding this, and that. And I never even knew that those people had watched it until they emailed me. So, if you are watching this later or live or whatever, if you could please just comment. If you have a question, write it. Give the video some love, I guess is what we're saying, okay? So if you're here live, give me a thumbs up, comment in the comment sections and let me know you're here, and then we will get started. Alright, so if you're with me, like I said, give me a thumbs up, okay? If you're watching this later, I want to see #replay. I keep wanting to go hashtag. Has anybody seen that Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake thing? It's like a song or something, and they always like hashtag. Anyways, super silly, but yeah. Yay, thumbs, yay. All right, so we're going to get into this week's player of the week, the featured player of the week, and that is, I forgot to change the name. Dang it, I'm going to have to fix that. Her name is Kennedy Sikinski. I had it all planned out, and I totally blanked right then when I was reading it. Kennedy Sikinski. She's new to Houston Force this year and will be playing on our 14 local team. Kennedy goes to Wood Creek Junior High, and she comes to all of our trainings every week. She comes Monday, she comes Saturdays, she comes to open gym on Sundays. She's dedicated to getting better in her game, and she is loving Houston Force. So after the live, go to Instagram, or I think it's going to post on Facebook too. But check out her video and so that you know why she loves Houston Force. I cannot wait to see her skills grow from now until the end of our season this year. All right, so I think this is probably the main reason you're signing in today. I plan on talking about junior college recruiting and playing volleyball, and the stigma behind JUCO. So if you've never heard the word JUCO, it just means junior college. It's a shortened phrase that we use in the sports world. And so why I think that JUCO is the route that most volleyball athletes should go, and the stigma behind it. So originally I was going to interview somebody today, and that fell through. So last night I was texting with one of our seniors from our 18s team about recruiting, and we were having a conversation, and she was telling me about these D3 schools that were interested in her and wanting her to commit, and I asked her, well, what about JUCO? Like, why not JUCO? And, she didn't really have an answer, so it made me want to get on here and talk about it. So that's why we're talking about JUCO today. And I'm sure you're thinking, but my kid has to go D1, D2, or D3. They have to go to a 4-year university. And my response to that is why? Why do they have to do that? Do you even know why your daughter needs to play D1, D2, or D3? And I'm going to guess probably not, other than you really, really, really want them to. So is it because, those are the only named schools you know? Maybe. I don't know. Is it because if you said, hey, my daughter just committed to play volleyball at, I'm going to use this example, Cisco Junior College, which I had no idea was even a school until 2 years ago. Does that bother you? Like people not knowing where she's going to school? Or what about you don't even know where the junior colleges are located? Like they're in towns that you've never heard of, or you don't even know where they are on the map. Like, does that bother you? Is that why they have to go D1 or D2 or D3? Because you know where those schools are? So I was a D1 volleyball player, and when I was being recruited, I told my parents that D1 was the only option. JUCO, no way. D2, yeah, I guess if I have to. D3, no, I didn't have the grades to go and get money on a D3 at a D3 university. So D1 is what it was. And now I look back, and I definitely limited myself because of that thought process. I too, at the time, thought JUCO, ew, yuck, like who goes to JUCO, right? So now don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved playing at Texas State. I will tell you, if you ever have a conversation with me, that playing at Texas State was like the best and the worst 4 years of my life. Like it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was the most rewarding thing I've ever done. So I wouldn't change it for the world. But if I could go back and do it all over again, I think I would choose to go to JUCO and then transfer to Texas State, because I would have been a much better athlete because of it. And here's why. Well, one, I would have been better skillfully. I would have gotten 2 full years of playing. I would have played a lot more. My skills would have gotten a ton better. I just would have had the experience playing that I necessarily didn't get at Texas State. So freshman year, I didn't play a lot. I played some, I was like the reliever when something wasn't going right. I went in. Did we win? Sure. Did we lose? Yeah. But it didn't really matter whether I won or lost, whether I was going to play the next match or not. It wasn't my spot. The senior had it. If she wasn't playing well, that's when I went in. But at JUCO, there's only sophomores and freshmen, and so you kind of you get to play. You get to play more. Not necessarily all the time, unless you earn that spot, but you definitely get more opportunity to play. And then this gives you the opportunity to even learn how to become like a go-to player, right? So you're getting to play a lot more. You're getting that experience on the floor in competition. You're learning how to become that go-to player. And so when you make that transfer into a 4-year university, you kind of have that, I don't know what you would call it, like swagger or confidence, something like that. And it's a bit of an unspoken thing in college athletics, but when you're going into your freshman year of a 4-year university, you're not really going to play unless you're, some supremo stud that's just going to, like, really make a difference to their team. But that's very, very few and far between. And then if you're good enough to benefit the team for the long haul, so like, in 2 or 3 years, then they will even redshirt you your freshman year. So then you're just sitting, practicing, getting better, but you're not playing and you're not competing. So now you have to play volleyball for 5 years. And not that you might want to do that, but you might not. You don't know. You won't know until you're in your 4-year university experience, figuring out whether you still want to play volleyball in your 5th year or not. I also believe that if you were being recruited out of high school to go to a 4-year mid-range university, that you could probably go to JUCO and then be recruited out of JUCO to a better and bigger 4-year university. So again, it just depends on what you want, but if you want to play at a bigger and better school, but they're not recruiting you as an 18-year-old, then go JUCO, right? And go get that experience. Go play. Go learn how to be a better volleyball player, and then those bigger schools might want you. So I wrote an example of like Sam Houston, great school, pretty good volleyball program. They're in the Southland Conference, which is a smaller conference. So if you're being recruited by a school like that, you know, you could go play there. You might sit freshman year, you might play sophomore, junior, and senior year. You get some good experience. But if you went JUCO, then you might be able to be recruited out of JUCO to a school like Texas State, which in the last few years has really grown and like started to dominate. They're in a much bigger conference. They're doing really, really well. And they even went to the NCAA a couple years ago and won the very first time they won their first round match and went to the second round. So that kind of gives you an opportunity to see how playing could benefit you. And it really all just depends on your goals. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, because it makes a lot of sense in my head, but who knows. Then another thing that I think I would have benefited more by going JUCO would have been, I would have become a better leader. And that again goes back to the playing and having to lead the players on my team. As a sophomore, you're the head honcho on that team, man. Like you run it. And so being able to be that authority and have that authority to lead your team just helps you when you transfer into the 4-year university and you're a junior, and then you have to lead. You know how to do it. So quick story, my sophomore year in college, I was voted captain of the team. And I will honestly tell you, I don't know why. Maybe it was because I was the setter, maybe because I was a decent leader in practice, but in reality, I wasn't ready for it. We had a great group of juniors that year and only 1 or 2 seniors, so I think that they were looking for somebody that was going to lead them for years. And yeah, we won a conference championship, but I was just not ready. There was a lot of pressure being that leader on I was 19, 20 years old, leading 21 and 22-year-olds that had been in college playing on the team for years before me, and it was really hard. I struggled a lot my sophomore year, and then not to mention we ran a 6-2 offense and I wasn't even the starter, so it was hard for me to be the captain and I wasn't even starting. So to me it was like, why would they pay attention to me? I'm not, at the time I thought, not good enough to be the starter. So it made it hard. But if you go JUCO and you are a sophomore and you're at the top of your class, you're at the top of the team, you get that opportunity to learn how to be better at that. And I think you're more, and it helps you be more prepared into your junior year. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about being a leader. I got pushed into it. I wanted it at the time, but now looking back, I probably shouldn't have done that, or shouldn't have campaigned to be captain. All right, so then 3, this doesn't really pertain to me, as I was a D1 athlete and I was only, like, when you play D1 you can only get full ride scholarships, but what if I had been a D2 or a D3 player? Did you know that D2 schools only get 8 scholarships and they're allowed to divvy it up however they want? So you might only get a partial scholarship. You might get your tuition paid or your books and board or something, not everything. And then in D3, they don't even have athletic scholarships. Now, if you're smart, you're going to get academic scholarships, so that's good, but they can't give you any athletic money. And then, but in JUCO, there are 3 divisions, so there's still Division 1, 2, and 3 in JUCO, and the scholarships are different amongst all of them. But in D1 and D2, there's 14 scholarships to give. And I'm not 100% sure on all the rules and the things that they do with that money, but I know that the pool of money is big, and they give a lot of money away. Now, you might not get a full ride, you might have to pay for your books, or you might have to pay your board, but they give, most of the time, they give you a pretty big chunk, if not figure out a way to find you money for everything. And I'm a big fan of getting your school paid for. I believe that this will really set you up for life. So playing JUCO for 2 years completely paid means that helps you in the long run. By all means, do it. So too many kids today are choosing not to play club or college volleyball, and I just don't get it. There's so many options out there. Getting a scholarship to play volleyball is an honor and also a gift for life. I won't go off on my tangent about potentially being debt-free graduating from college, but if you ever want to talk about it, I have a big opinion about it. Want to know another thing I think is funny is in baseball, JUCO is like huge. I mean, it means that you are good, okay? So the stigma behind JUCO in baseball is just not there. If you aren't being drafted out of high school, you want to go to JUCO so that you're drafted in 2 years. And what's it called? You don't want to go to a 4-year university, waste their time, and then be drafted, and then, so just 2 years on JUCO, you can get drafted. Now, I know there's nothing like that in volleyball. I know there's not professional volleyball right now. But in volleyball, for some reason, JUCO just makes people give you the stink face. Like, oh, JUCO? I don't really want to go to JUCO. And I don't understand why it's bad. The thing about, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. I think both crying in the script. Something that I think is kind of cool that I never thought of until last night while playing JUCO is like you even would get to play with international players. A lot of JUCOs have international players because I believe, and I double check on this, but I believe that when they come from out of the country to want to go play volleyball, they have to go through the JUCO system. So they'll go 1 or 2 years play JUCO, and then they'll transfer on to a 4-year university. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe that is a thing. So that's kind of cool too, right? Like, how many times would you get to play with an international player unless you go and play overseas? So, anyways, I ask seniors all the time, well, why not JUCO? Like, have you thought about JUCO? And they all like look at me like I'm crazy. They give me that stink face, like, no. And I'm like, why not? And their number one response is, well, I really want to go to a 4-year university and get the full college experience. And they never tell me what that means, but I think I know what that means, right? Like, let's be real. So I always laugh, and I tell them that you can have the college experience no matter where you go to college. As long as you live on campus and you go to class, you meet people, you're living in a city, so there's places to go, things to do. So no matter where you go, you're going to get a college experience. And you only have to go to JUCO for 2 years. It's not like you can't transfer into a 4-year university and get that experience your last 2 years. One girl told me one time, well, I really want to go to like the big football games. She wants to go to LSU. I want to do the tailgating, and I want to do the football games and things like that. And my thing is like, all right, you can do that. You can do that your junior and senior year. Go play volleyball, go JUCO, get your school paid for, transfer to LSU, and be a student. That's the great thing. Like, just nothing is set in stone all the time. You know, like you can change your mind, you can do different things, and JUCO kind of gives you a good, like a short balance. You know, like 2 years. That's it. Make that commitment. Anyways, I had another thing I forgot to write down that I really wanted to. Oh, that's right. So I don't know. This is just from my experience. I played varsity volleyball in high school, so I had the same coach for 4 years. Then in club, I played for a really good coach who always took an interest in coaching my team. So for 3 years, I had the same coach. So in high school, 4 years, same coach. Club, 3 years, same coach. Graduated early, so I didn't get that 4th year with him. Then went to Texas State, played 4 years for the same coaching staff, which, don't get me wrong, I love Karen Chisholm, Tracy, and Sean. They were amazing. But playing for the same coach for 4 years, it can be tough, right? So you go JUCO, you get 2 years with one coach, and then you get 2 years with a new coach, or from another school. So it really helps break down that. Potentially, I mean, you could have resentment, anything, like you could not like it, then you'd have to transfer anyways, like, I don't know, there's just a lot of things that I think really highlight JUCO in a good light, and we don't ever give it that opportunity. So, anyways, I know I've gone on and on and on about JUCO, so does it really sound that bad? I hope it doesn't. I hope I've opened your mind to the possibility of playing JUCO, or your daughter playing JUCO. There are so many junior colleges around the country. Heck, I didn't even know that there were that many in Texas. And until 2 years ago, when I had some recruits go JUCO, my mind was opened up. So if you need any help with your senior or junior or sophomore or freshman starting their recruiting, or finish their recruiting if they're a senior, let me know. If you have any questions about recruiting, let me know. I'm here to help you in any way possible. I know recruiting is a little different today than it was when I was being recruited, but the general gist of it is the same. And so the one thing of advice that I would give to any athlete, and I'm going to give it to you right now, is pick up the phone and call the coaches. We live in a digital world, but the number one thing that will stick out to any coach is if you pick up the phone and have a conversation. So tell your athletes, tell your daughters that they need to get comfortable with picking up the phone. All right, I'm off of JUCO. I'm going to do our weekly announcements, and then we'll be done. So here I got our it's probably going to go really quick. Volleyball. Yeah, I'll tell you. So we have our volleyball program starting November 14th. There we go. It's a 5-week program. It's on Saturdays, except for the weekend after Thanksgiving. It will be on Sunday. It is $125. It is for 4th through 7th graders. And if you participate in our volleyball program, you get an exclusive opportunity to play in our mini club experience. This is going to be something that we've never done before. I'm super excited about it. For the 5th and 6th grade, if you want to do the mini club experience, it's a 12-week program with practices on Fridays and developmental tournaments on 3 developmental tournaments on Sundays. And if you're in the 7th grade and we put a team together, that's a 15-week experience with 2 practices a week and 4 Saturday tournaments. So volleyball is like the intro to the mini club experience, and you can only do that if you participate in volleyball. Then we have our $5 surf clinic this week. It's every Saturday this month, so we have 2 more. This Saturday will be at Faith West at 11:30 to 12:30. And then next week, I encourage everybody to wear their costumes for Halloween if you celebrate it. I think it will be a fun time to see everybody in their costumes. So next, I really messed up on that. So next week it's Halloween, 11:30 on Saturday as well. And then of course open gym days and fall clinics on Mondays. Open gym is $5, 1 to 3. I will not be there this week. We will have a coach working it, but our club is having our Zoom parent meeting, and so I have a feeling a lot of the club girls will not be there, but the gym will be open. So if you are not a part of Houston Force, please come out to open gym and have some fun. And then Monday's fall clinics. This is our last one before club season starts. 6:30 to 8:30. The first hour is serve and pass, and the second hour is setting and hitting. So thank you for being with me today. And if you're watching this on the replay, please #replay, and I will see you next week. Bye.